Hey out there everybody, it's Dave from Davestation VR, and today I'm talking about a game called Pixel Ripped 1989 for PSVR. So if you're not familiar with Pixel Ripped already, it's a retro-themed kind of 2D Game Boy style platformer that takes place inside of a metagame about hiding that game from your angry teacher who's trying to catch you playing it. So the game itself plays a lot like Mega Man with a little bit of Sonic in terms of when you get hit you drop pixels and you have to go pick them back up, and those power you up as you go through. I think it's a really unique take on the potential of VR to implement a 2D Game Boy game inside of a VR metagame. It's a really cool idea, and I really liked it. It reminded me of being a kid in school, trying to play Uno under the table in science class without my teacher catching me or something. And it was a lot of fun. You can see there's really a deep affection for classic gaming on display here. There are so many references that you'll get throughout. There's like Nintendo Power looking magazines laying on the tables, Game Boy carts everywhere, Pokemon references, Tetris, there's a Battletoads reference, and I'm sure there's a ton that I missed. So that was really cool, and I appreciated all that stuff. There's also some clever nods to chiptune music and some cool Easter eggs hidden throughout. You might see PSVR Frank if you keep your eyes open. And they do a pretty good job of breaking the fourth wall. There's some radio and TV broadcasts in the game that give you info about how to play the game, or like a cheat code or something like that as you're playing. So that was a pretty cool thing as well. The soundtrack and the overall visual design really fit the 80s aesthetic they're going for here. There's kind of a synthwave vibe to the soundtrack with a pretty healthy amount of NES-style tunes. And while the graphics didn't blow me away or anything, there's nothing really negative to mention about them. And for the most part, I thought the art design was really well done. So this game comes in at a total of 4 levels. There's 3 kind of normal stages, and then a final boss fight with 3 rounds. And it's constantly shifting the way that you play throughout those stages. The metagame changes up in terms of what you have to do in VR around the 2D game. And in the later stages, the 2D game also kind of changes itself up as well. Overall runtime is probably going to be about 2 to 3 hours. As you might expect for a game that is pretty much a Game Boy game, the controller support is DualShock only, which works pretty great for the most part, although some of the platforming sections can have weird sticky areas that seem to hinder proper platforming. You'll be running across a certain area in a stage and you just can't run or jump the way you expect to. You get kind of stuck on an edge, or for some reason your running animation isn't really working right. The most frustrating part for me was really in the boss level. There'll be some sections where you have a limited amount of time to get down to the boss and shoot him while he's vulnerable, and there'll be big openings between like platforms, and you think you can just go between them because your body would easily fit, but something about the hitboxes of those platforms is implemented in some way where you just can't go through a space where you could physically, it looks like. And it holds you back, it gets you stuck. And those things can add a little bit of frustration, but they're few and far between. For the most part, the game's very pleasant and enjoyable. It's not too difficult for the first 3 stages. The only time you can really die is if you get caught by your teacher too many times. And once you learn how to distract her, that's not too difficult to keep her off your back. And in the 2D platforming game, you have infinite retries, and the checkpoints are pretty well spaced out. Now, unfortunately, as I kind of hinted at before, the boss levels are kind of an exercise in frustration. They're way too drawn out. In rounds 2 and 3, you lose a lot of progress when you die, and they're just so long to get through with such a low margin for error that I honestly was shouting at the PlayStation quite a few times while I was playing the final boss fight, and that doesn't usually happen. I don't usually get frustrated like that. So while I was so pleasantly enjoying the first 3 stages, which were just delightful, the final boss stage can try your patience a little bit. It's a weird difficulty spike out of nowhere, and it just seems like you have to keep trying and trying to beat it, and then it's over. So, I didn't love the boss level too much, but the rest of the game was pretty solid for me. Overall, I would say it's definitely worth checking out for anybody who's interested in like a new creative application of VR gaming, because this is really unique and really cool. Or if you're just really into retro gaming, these old, Game Boy NES style games, you'll have a great time with this, I think. So this comes in at $24.99, and if you pre-order, you get a 20% discount to bring it down to $20. And at that price, I would highly recommend it. Although I said it's only about 2 to 3 hours, and some of that is replaying the boss fight over and over again. There are some like unlockables. I think you can collect 5 cartridges in each stage that are sort of hidden, so there's extra challenges after you beat the game. And I wouldn't mind going back and replaying it because I had a great time with it. So, like I said, highly recommended, guys. I really enjoyed Pixel Rip 1989, and I think you will too. So, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this, leave me a like or a comment or subscribe or whatever you feel like doing, and I will catch you later.